All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I assume that you read a little bit about the event and my email message that preceded it, just sharing that this is the beginning of a six-part series. It's going to be dedicated to the topic of this idea of like how do you bring, or the question, how do you bring your medicine into the world? And so I'm going to be hosting a series of six. This is the first one. Delphine Blanc, my friend and a colleague, has agreed to help uh, get started with the topic today of awakening your medicine gifts. And really, this is going to be a monthly series. So over the series of the next 6 months, I'm going to be exploring different topics connected to this idea of bringing your medicine forward. So just to say a little bit about that, I think that the way I think of your medicine is sort of twofold. One is just bringing your true self into the world, bringing your higher self into the world, and how do we open containers? How do we build containers for ourselves that becomes possible to express our true nature? And I see that very much as an evolution, an ongoing evolutionary process. That there's always kind of more and more and more expansion and more opportunity to come through. And then also I feel like there's another aspect to this idea of bringing medicine forward that is almost like, how do we create portals for spirit to come through, which is maybe an even grander expression of our higher selves, like the great spirit and the mystery. How do we become hollow bones and allow love and beauty and creativity and wisdom and truth and light and energy and all kinds of these amazing magical medicines? How does each one of us uh, channel those into the world? And I think that can be a very ordinary thing, where it's like, Delphine and I were talking before of like cooking. She used the example of cooking, where it's just like getting into this flow and channeling love and creativity into food and then feeding people. It can be something very simple like that, where it's a very healing and nourishing and loving act. And then there are these more eccentric, I would say, medicine gifts that are like, I think Paul Selig's work is a good example of that. If you're familiar with Paul Selig, he's a channel. He channels this group that he refers to as the guides. And as he channels, he gets into this state that's pretty, like, he's kind of mumbling to himself, and then he's repeating. He mumbles real fast and then repeats slowly to himself, and he's in this rhythm of just channeling like a few words at a time. And uh, and it's quite a thing to behold and watch. And I really admire him for the work that he's brought through in his willingness to get into that vulnerable state, allow us all to see him in sort of this more eccentric way. He's channeled many books, and the teachings, at least for me, have been very impactful, and I think for a lot of people. And so I see it as there's this entire spectrum, and that's just one example of maybe a more eccentric form of a healing gift of bringing medicine into the world, and then the ordinary ones. And my sense is that we all have both. We have these more ordinary gifts, and then we have these more eccentric ones. And so through the 6 months, we're gonna just be unpacking some of the themes that I have been tracking that seem to come about, and maybe some of the important checkpoints that help build more capacity for more and more medicine to come through each one of us, and in whatever unique way that we're sort of designed and attuned to do. So that's kind of the big picture of what this is all about, and how this came into being. And then our topic today, we're starting with the idea of awakening your medicine gifts, or opening or making connection and starting to have a just like that kind of divine spark of inspiration or awareness of seeing a gift that maybe has been there all along, but you haven't been fully conscious of, something like that. And so in order to do that, we're gonna talk. Delphine and I are gonna talk a little bit. I'm just gonna invite her to share with us, and we'll have a conversation about her journey of making contact with her gift to channel light language, and sort of what's come since then, and how that has come about, some of the lessons she's learned. And then we'll have a little bit of time for questions if any of you have questions. And then we'll move into probably about 45 minutes to an hour in, somewhere in there. We're going to move into a healing that Delphine's going to offer for everyone, which is designed to help you make contact with or expand and open more into your own medicine gifts and activate whatever kind of the next layer of that is for you. So that's the plan for today. And we're really grateful to have you here, grateful to everyone who's listening to the playback. Please, let us know. This is the beginning. So we love to have your feedback. One of the things I was just saying to Delphine is I don't even know what to call this, like what we're doing. It's like, it's not really a webinar. It's not exactly a healing. It's kind of, so once you experience it, if you have any brilliant ideas for how we call this, we'll welcome that too. All right, so I think that's enough intro background. And then I want to introduce you all to Delphine. So I guess I'll say a few words about how Delphine and I met. We met a little over a year ago, so we haven't even known each other that long. She was a participant in the first creativity cleanse I offered last January. And then we connected afterwards. And it was around that time, like, you can say more about this, Delphine, but my sense is that the light language was starting to come, and you're in your work. I actually don't know. I'm going to get to learn more about Delphine through this conversation. That it was starting to come through more in her work, but she was largely focused on hypnotherapy and life coaching and that kind of thing at the time. And over the last 15 months or so, I've gotten to witness that gift come more and more. And it almost seems like it's in the forefront now, which is really exciting. The first time we spoke, she spontaneously offered me a little light language healing. And that ended up catalyzing quite a profound experience of my own healing over the next several months. And then each time I've listened to her channelings, it's really surprised. Looking back, I'm like, oh wow, that that really stirred up a lot. And I found her work to be really profound and impactful for me. So I'm excited for you all to get to meet her and know her a little bit better today. So yeah, Delphine, do you want to add anything to that about yourself or?
Thank you so much. Such a beautiful introduction. Thanks.
Yeah. So I thought maybe we would get started just with talking about maybe just sharing a little bit about what light language is, or your understanding of it, or how you describe that to people.
Yeah. So I'm Delphine. I'm based in Switzerland. I'm French, so pardon the accent. Well, it's supposed to be a cute accent, but I don't know. Anyways, I connected back to the light language ability or capacity to channel it. That was back in October 2019. So that was quite a while ago when I think about it now. I was not aware of it. Like, I didn't know that kind of thing existed. And you want me to talk about how it came or what it is actually right before? Sorry.
We can both.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, whatever.
So how it came, because yeah, I didn't know anything about it. I have a friend who actually channels it, but I didn't know it at the time. And she kind of sent me a meditation of this American lady, and she had a whole program of like awaken the inner goddess within you and something like that. It was a free meditation. And so I did it. And in that meditation, so she was speaking English, normal meditation. And then at some point, this lady starts to speak this weird language. Like, you can, by listening to it, you can definitely tell that it's not a foreign language, from Earth, basically, that you wouldn't know about. It really feels like it's coming from a different plane, or not from Earth, for sure, not human. Um, and as soon as she started speaking those words, or yeah, I started speaking, like it came to me, and I was like like this, like started to channel, and I was like all of my arms moving, and a lot of things happening to me. I couldn't stop speaking, and as if, I was kind of responding to her basically, but I had no idea what I was doing. So I kind of messaged my friend at the end. I was like, well, that was nice, but actually, there's a weird thing that happened. Like, when she started speaking this weird thing, I started speaking another weird thing because the sounds were a bit different than hers. And then my friend was like, oh, welcome to the world of light language. And I was like, yeah, but I have no clue what that is because I don't come from a spiritual upbringing, or I had no idea that it existed. So it was like, so what? Like, I have this now and I didn't know what to do with it. So for a few months, I guess, it was just coming to me as I was working on my own, like my own limiting beliefs, starting a coaching and hypnosis business. Like, I was already always kind of facing my own fears and self-sabotaging patterns and all of that. So when I was working on myself, like it was coming, like it was just coming for me to kind of speak to myself. So that was kind of self-healing first. And then I knew that some of the clients in hypnotherapy, in hypnosis sessions, they were already having some kind of very extreme or very like unusual journeys. So I thought, okay, maybe with one client I can start trying to integrate that light language, because I was kind of scared that people would think I would be crazy or something like that. So in the middle of a session, so I kind of told one of my client about it, if it was open to it, and then in the middle of the hypnosis session, I kind of started speaking it. And it was really beautiful because at the end he was like, well, as soon as you started speaking those words, like I could sense that, there was this entity that was taking me out of this horrible situation, and I went in this beautiful place, and I felt like, wow, it's amazing, because it was integrated into his journey, and somehow it did what needed to be done, and I had no consciousness of what was happening to him. So, and it took me a while to kind of start doing it more and more. And now it's almost like it's my comfort zone, just because it comes so naturally to me. So light language it's those vibrations and those frequencies that they're not speaking to your mind, because you don't understand what it's what it is. You don't understand the words. I don't understand what I'm saying. So it really bypasses the mind to really talk directly to the subconscious, to your soul, to your heart. And it brings back movement into places where the energy was stuck. So you can feel in your body like energy moving, or maybe there's old pain coming back that you feel again, or maybe you feel like cold or warmth, or there's again like kind of memory coming back, or you're kind of traveling to a different lifetime. It's really, basically, it takes you wherever it needs to take you. And there is, what I love about it is that there is no, on my side, there's no mental bias, because I don't understand what I'm saying. And I have very limited consciousness to like what it is actually doing on the person. So that was a bit difficult. It's still a bit difficult, because you can't really, tell a story to the person. The client is always like, oh, so what you've perceived, what did you perceive? And I'm like, I don't know. Nothing. I was just a channel, just empty vessel, and things coming through me, and you got what you needed, and I have no clue. Like, I can't tell you, it did extracted this, or we went into this, lifetime, or it like worked on, I have no clue, or what that chakra. And so it was through my clients that actually told me, oh, it worked on that, or this, or that happened. And then I got a realization that, wow, it can do a lot of things. I had no idea. So yeah, this is yeah, it's really a beautiful thing. So it's really about sound, vibration. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time that you channeled light language for me, my belly. You told me to put the screen down towards my belly, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, what's going on in there? Um, and
Some people say that light language is because so you're connected to those vibrations. It's very difficult. Like some people say they channel a certain star constellation, or I don't know. Like I know that it's my higher self connecting to whatever needs to be channeled. Sometimes it feels like the frequencies are very cosmic. They do feel like that. And sometimes they actually feel very earthy. Like they feel very so um I guess it's just healing frequencies, and your higher self is selecting whatever it tunes in with the other person, and then channels whatever is needed there. So each person connects to it, and each channel is gonna have a different sound or different yeah type of language. Mine, is a bit Arabic sometimes, and and some people say from Siberia or whatever. I had no clue. Some are more from African type of sounds. So I guess that's more coming from the person.
hmm. Yeah, I know in a couple of the group healings that I've sat in that you've done, it sounded very familiar to some of the experiences I've had in ayahuasca ceremonies, where, essentially the ceremonialists are opening to allow medicine to come through them, through their voice. They're singing. It tends to happen in song, but there's
Yeah.
something very familiar about some of the songs that's come through you that feel like very earth medicine, jungly at times. And yeah, same, like I've had experiences that feel much more cosmic. So I'm curious, like, when you said that it's like your higher self is connecting to like whatever is needed, do you have a process for getting into that state, or is there something you do, or is it automatic, or what's that like for you?
No, it's automatic. There's nothing I do. Sometimes I feel like, oh, it would be so much easier to just be always like that. Because it's just, there's no mind in it. No, um, um, no interpretation from words. Our language is so limiting, right? Like we each have a very different understanding of the different words and what they mean to us. And this, it's like universal vibration, right? So it speaks directly to where it needs to speak, and there's no confusion. So that, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I've been tracking this in others and in myself for, many years. And one of the things I've noticed, like I've had this experience that started, I guess, it was in 2019 as well. I went down to the jungle and I did a diet with this plant called Renikia that is this feminine vine. And it's known for doing a lot of things, but they say sometimes it wakes up people's hands, which that was just one of a huge list. And I hadn't really gone down there for that reason or anything. But after, so it's like a week-long diet. You sit with this plant, you drink in the plant each morning and meditate with it. And in the diet, my hands just started like I can't quite explain it, but it felt like all this energy was flowing to my hands. And it's been, since then it's been a very mysterious sort of evolution of not even knowing what that meant at first. And but one of the things that I've noticed is since then is I'm a musician, and I'll sit down and like I touch an instrument now and different things happen than used to happen before. Like I'll play my guitar and I'm not even I'm like, that's a great song. Like, that's cool. You know, I don't know. I didn't pre-think of it. I didn't plan to play this song. It's just I just like let my hands start to move. And I've had that experience a bit with putting my hands on other people. I haven't done a lot of that, especially with COVID. But now I just start putting my hands on people, and it's like they're kind of like little spiders. They just start to to move around. And I like literally, I don't know what I'm doing. And I've also gotten the feedback from the, one person in particular where this really just spontaneously kind of took on a life of its own, that it ended up being like this really amazing healing that again, I felt like I couldn't really even take credit for. I'm like, I don't know. It just led there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel like for years before that, and maybe even since, I've had this idea that I need to get into, like, try hard or get into this state, or, do something fancy, or somehow unlock this secret for this to happen. And instead, what I'm finding with a number of my gifts is that it's like the opposite almost. And I've talked to other people who say the same, like it just like kind of starts to come when it comes, and
Yeah.
it's effortless, and there's no need to be angsty about it, so to speak.
Mm.
um, I remember this healer I met in in the Sacred Valley in Peru said, someone was asking about like how you know when you're ready, or when you're ready to like step into being a healer. And he said that when the fruit is ripe, it falls from the tree. That was his answer. And
It's like those so frustrating things, they're very wise, but they're feel so frustrating. Yeah, okay, fine.
right.
I'll
Yeah.
just wait.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's like I also, like, for me, the Renikia diet was a catalyzing event. I wasn't doing it to try to for that purpose. I wasn't like, I want to catalyze this thing, and it also seemed to have an activating force. Whereas like what I hear in your story is that encounter with this other light language channel seemed to activate or awaken something.
It did. It was like it connected. It was like a push on the button that was already inside me, but the
Yeah.
button was ready to be pushed on in a way,
Yeah.
pressed on. And since then, I did a few my own healings activated that connection in a few of my clients or friends. So that's also interesting to see. But actually, when I was preparing for this for our conversation, I kind of looked back at my agenda and my journal and what happened in the weeks before that, because I never made really that connection. And actually, 2 weeks prior to that, I was doing a shamanic workshop, and it was all about opening your perception and awakening your gift, which I really never thought about it. And it was during the autumn equinox actually, and there was a big ceremony, and the shaman, she went into, I had never seen that, into what is called trance mediumship. So she was connecting to nature spirits, but she was really embodying them. Like, it was really intense to see. She was not there anymore. She was really like nature spirit. And there were a few people in the room, and she was doing kind of individual healings, like moving around. And she spent quite a lot of time on me, and there was a clear moment where she was holding me in her arms, and she was kind of pointing at the sky, and she was like, you need to connect to the stars, you need to connect to the stars. And I had no clue what it was, like, I didn't know what it meant at the time. And then 2 weeks later, you know I'm in contact with that meditation, and the connection is being made. So it's interesting to see that, oh, okay, maybe they were, in the end, we don't even know how many steps have led to,
Right.
I guess, millions. I guess all of our life is leading up to each moment, right? So it's not a single thing, it's like so many things. And it's really, and I know I was like, as a coach and hypnotherapist before, I was a lot like into what is my unique thing, and like, how am I going to attract client? What is so different about me? And I was in all of those questions. And as you were saying, it was the forcing, it was really intellectual. How can I position myself? What kind of niche do I need to go into? And that felt very forced and not natural at all. and it felt like a lot of shoulds, and it felt like being back to school, like trying to fit this recipe of the perfect or successful entrepreneur. um, and one of the biggest lesson I think I've learned through, through this, and through those years of being on my own, like being an entrepreneur, is to let go of that mind, to let go of the forced thing, to let go of, and to follow the joy. Like it's really the main thing. And I need to remind myself every time I'm being too perfectionist, good girl, trying to tick the boxes. It's like back to, but just follow the joy, like follow make what what makes you happy, what lights up your heart, what, because that will lead to you might not, it's not a straight line, but every kind of thing that you do, that when you follow that, you follow your heart, you follow what is exciting, it really leads you and opens new doors for you that you would have never imagined. Because like, even if I wanted to, like, oh, I'm gonna now be a channel of light language, like I wouldn't, I didn't even know that it was existing. So when we're kind of in that mind, we're also very limited in what is possible. Whereas when we follow our heart, like the universe is just opening the doors, and you're like, oh, I didn't know. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Like with going down to the jungle in that example, it's like there was something in me that felt like, this, I got to do this. And for me, it was more motivated by actually a desire to call in healing for myself, um, and bring in more of the feminine. Like Renekia is known for being this feminine spirit that can really help bring in protection and like I think uh, much more safety in relationship to the feminine. And that just felt like 100% what I needed at the time, and I had no idea why. So it's like one of the things I think, in addition to following your joy and following your heart, which following your heart can be joy, right? But it can also be, I think it can be just for whatever reason, knowing that's the thing. Like, this is where my heart is leading me. Uh, but what I want to add to that, and what I'm curious about, if this was true for you at all, is that also following my healing has really led me into unexpected, like, sweet spots or discovery. Like I have this sense that the gifts don't come online until there's a container that is strong and whole and capable of wielding it, so to speak, or of letting it come through in a way that's going to be clean and harmonious. And sometimes, like, for me, I know and I'm not trying to say that I'm healed. It's a process, but there was a certain level of healing that I needed, particularly in relationship to my own wounding in the feminine, that for some reason seemed to need to transpire before this thing in my hands could come online.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and for me, the gift, it doesn't have to be. The gift is not is not something that we do. Our gift is actually our whole being, right? That's it's who we are when we are. It's our essence. It's our true nature. That's our gift. That's where we're here. That's our mission. It's just to shine our yeah, true nature, the unique vibration that we're here to bring. And we we're able to connect to that when actually we've started, at least, to remove some of the layers of the conditioning, right? The false the masks, and the all of the layers that we've built around that, our gem inside, that we've learned throughout, from society, from our growing up and all of that. So when we're in that process of shedding those layers, or being conscious that they're there, because it's never ending, right? We're never healed. And it's not the point actually, I think. But the point is definitely to learn to be more present to ourselves, and learn to be in that state of connection to who we are and peace. And that's when we're actually vibrating our true essence, and that's our gift. And as we said, our gift can be through then it can be whatever we do from that space is a gift. Like, it can be cooking from that space, and then that would have beautiful vibration. It can be singing from that space, and that's healing. That's my point of view. And whatever we do from that space is what we're here to do, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I hear in that is that it's like cultivating, I always think like if someone's like wanting to bring more of their medicine into the world, or uncover maybe a latent gift that they don't know of yet. And it's like, well, what can you do if on one level we're just saying like it comes when it comes, and also maybe part of it is cultivating a capacity to be fully present, and and also do the work of whatever showing up that's getting in the way of that, whether
Yeah.
it's something from the past pulling back, or I always think like depression and anxiety are often two of the things that get in the way of that, sort of like being pulled into the past in more depressive energy, or projecting into the future, and like somehow just coming right here, and cultivating that maybe is the indirect way of opening to whatever might want
Yeah.
to come through.
Yeah. Yeah.
um so I think you talked about this a little bit, but I wondered if there's anything that you, I guess, connected to that. Is there anything that you can see in your own journey that has helped you cultivate your capacity to be present or get out of the way? Or have there been like obvious challenges that have shown up on that journey?
um for me it's a continuous back and forth, like, um and it's really about learning and discovering about I always think that we're very there are a lot of people inside of each of us, like, and it's about learning, all of those little characters that we have inside. Oh, there's the perfectionist. Oh, there's the one who's fearing of being rejected. Or there's this one and this one. So it's about learning to work with them, like, because you're not gonna get rid of them. That's not the point. But it's really cultivating or learning to work with those parts of ourselves, and to sometimes also try to not take it too seriously, when it's like the perfectionist is back. I try to make a joke. Oh, Hannah, you're back. So, okay, what do you have to say to me now? And to kind of put some distance to it, because we also tend to fall into a lot of drama. We're kind of drama queens sometimes with all of those, and to just kind of try to have that distance of, okay, well, that's what is happening to me. And for me, it was always going back to what is joyful. That was really, but maybe that was also very linked to my own journey, because I tend to try to kind of want to do the right things and all of that. And now it's always trying to, going back to what is making, what feels light and what feels joyful, and try to go to that.
Yeah,
But it's not a given. I always need to go back and ask myself. Yeah.
I love that. Like, I hear that that's been part of your journey, and I also feel like there's a universal thread in it. Just one, like, joy is very high frequency. The frequency of joy seems to open portals to other things. for me. And also, I think this the question of like, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? What is my medicine? Like, it can be very existential and angsty, and send me, I see, send other people like into this more intellectual, like trying to solve a problem, trying to figure something out. And a lot of times when I'm talking to my clients who are in that space, it's like, what do you want? Like, what makes you happy? What brings you joy? And I think that anchors purpose more in the present moment of like exactly what you said. Like, what are you being called toward? Like, where is your heart leading you? What is making your heart sing right now?
Yeah.
And just sort of slaying the ego's desire to solve the problem, and calling in more like the intelligence of our higher selves.
And also it's there's another thing that I'm always trying or struggling with is this impatience. Like I tend to always be kind of looking at the future and be like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And that creates a lot of frustration. Like, the present is never good enough, kind of. So that's something that I'm trying to learn to kind of, take some time to look first, like all the way that I've gone through, like, oh, it's, since a few years. So try to recognize everything that I've already kind of done or gone through, and then try to be grateful for where I am today, and not always kind of jumping into like what's the like this constant dissatisfaction of I could be living something different more, or I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hard for me.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds just like reminds me of the work of coming back to the present. That's all connected to this too. Like, the medicine is in the present moment.
Yeah.
And really that's all there is, right? So it's like projecting is just keeping us from where the medicine is. I have to remind myself of that all the time. Like,
And
be here.
exactly, and to not like another thing that is difficult is like when you're on that path of following your heart and following what makes you joyful, where there's no roadmap, like and it's not like many people have done that before, right? So it's almost like you need to forge your own path, because you're a unique person, so your path is going to be unique to you, and that sometimes is difficult, feels difficult. Like we're so used to be this hamster in the wheel that just just follows the process, or follows what is happening in the society, and not really think for our own kind of. And when you're on that path, well, you actually need to take responsibility for it, and you need to forge your own. And sometimes it can feel like daunting, or it takes a lot of courage, and sometimes it can feel very lonely, like also lonely and like heavy, and it's like but it's exciting, but yeah, it's also a challenge. Like it's not it's very simple when you say just follow your heart, but it's not that easy. There's a lot of detachment that needs to be done on all of the constructs of society, right? And all of the labels and boxes that that we're being placed into, and it feels like you need to kind of explode all of that, like get rid of all of that, and it's not easy.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage, and I found for myself it also takes a lot of willingness to step into the unknown
Yeah.
over and over and over again. um,
Yeah.
and just find peace there, or trust there, or um, or
It's really
whatever.
about faith. It's really faith. It's like this movie, this Indiana Jones, one of those Indiana Jones movie where the guy is like crossing this canyon or something, and there's no bridge, and he as he puts the first foot, then the bridge appears, right? It's a bit like that. It's like you need to put the foot it's a cliff, like there's no bridge, but the bridge is coming as you're kind of walking on it. It appears, but it really appears one step at a time. It's not like you have a full view of where it's going, and it feels very safe. So
Right. And
so
I
that's faith. Yeah,
I
really faith.
find, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, no, it's really faith that everything, that if you're on that path, everything is, you're going to be provided for, right? Even, yeah, provided for in all senses, financially, support, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good metaphor too, like of leading your life and just taking each step like that. Also, I feel is very true with being in a healing with someone or showing up, whatever, with to allow spirit to move through is like, or like right now when I put my hands on someone or I sit down to play music, the music's a little more comfortable at this point, but it's like I literally, I don't know what's going to happen. And so that's somewhat uncomfortable to my ego. It's like, what if nothing happens? What if they think I'm weird? All this stuff. So it's like, even just in a healing, taking it one step at a time and not knowing and being able to show up fully or in front of other people. Like for me, it's one thing to be able to do that by myself as I'm leading my life. It's been another layer of challenge, which, I'm still cultivating that capacity to really get out of the way when another person is there or a whole group of people are there. It's like there just seem to be these other edges where it's like parts of me that are not cool with that flare up, in certain circumstances where when I'm by myself, just following my heart, even though that takes courage too, like I've gotten a little more comfortable with that. And then, you know, then the next layer of healing shows up. It's like, oh, okay,
Mm.
here's who wants attention next, the part of me. Well, so we're getting to, towards the halfway point here in our talk. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before I see if anyone has questions or? Um,
I think the only thing that I want to touch on is that it's a never ending process as well. So as this kind of light language channeling came, it opened other doors, which I actually, thanks to the creativity cleanse, that's when it opened the whole part of, ooh, let's do music with it. And like, because music is sound, and you were playing the handpan, actually doing this, I think it was the air meditation, right, with the handpan. And I was like, wow, that's amazing to have the support of the music for the healing or the meditation. So that's when the idea of, oh, I could do light language with music came. And now more and more, and I was already kind of intuitively taking, like, I was playing with actually my bracelets that were making a small noise, and so I was intuitively already using sound with the light language. But then the drum came, and so it's really never ending. It's just another door opens. Like, there's the light language, but then there's all of this sound healing that I was not aware of, that I could be trying to do now. So again, there's no destination, really.
yeah.
There's no destination point.
Yeah. Who knows where all that'll lead you?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What else is to be discovered that you haven't seen yet
Mm.
about yourself? All right. Well, we're just gonna open it up if any of you have, if you want to post something in the chat. I think just because we're recording, we're going to ask you to put it in the chat and rather than popping off of mute. So if you have any questions, just post those. If not, I have a couple others that I can ask. So. Or we could actually get into the healing where and see where that takes us. So I guess I'll ask one more question. I don't see anything coming through. Just curious what you see the role of training being in like, trainings and I don't even mean certifications. I mean, sometimes that is important depending on what the gift is. But like, how has training served you? Has it not served you at times? Like, where are the edges with that, with awakening gifts and coming into your medicine?
For me, I see training as any other event in life. You know what I mean? Like, you can awaken a gift when you're going through a huge trauma that is so shattering that everything kind of explodes and then it reveals something. Or you can awaken a gift when you do a training. Like, I don't see it now, I don't see it as a something specific. But if you feel called to do the training, do the training. And sometimes it's not the certification that you're going to get out of the training, it's the people that you're going to meet there, or it's the personal healing that is going to happen in that training, or it's one of the trainers that is going to become a mentor or whatever. It's like, again, if you feel called to it, do it. But I was a huge fan of trainings because I was in that model of you need to get trained and you need to have the certification, and I've done them and they were great. But now I don't feel like I need them anymore. At least they're not, and I guess it also depends on the training, but it's not limiting me anymore. It's not like, oh, I'm not gonna do that because I'm not trained on that. Like, the healing I'm gonna do is with those beautiful crystal balls, right? And there are tons of trainings on crystal balls and I haven't done any of them, right? And I might do them afterwards. I might do one just because I feel like, oh, I need a bit more technical things, or I really like this lady and I want to do it. But I'm not gonna let the fact that I haven't done the training prevent me from trying. So you're gonna be my guinea pigs because I've never done it before. but but yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It reminds me of this. Someone said this to me once, is like, no one can train you to be you.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the same time, like, at least for me, I've had some trainings that, like, if I hadn't had those, there wouldn't have been the foundation or the container or the roots or even like the integrity, really, to open up some of the stuff that is now coming. And similar, it's like, well, I was like classically trained in music years ago, but never in music as a healing art, really. Some, that's not true. Some with voice stuff, but as the instruments come online, it's just like, I don't know that anyone could train that or could awaken that, and I don't know that I need to be certified as a sound healer in order to step into that. It's like, and yet, if I didn't have the shamanic foundations, the healing um, framework that I do, even though I don't really do anything that looks anything like the way I was trained at this point, it still has, like, it opened doors and alchemized things that help me and continues to help me, like, make contact with myself and what I'm really here to do.
Hmm.
Um, so
There are
so
a
yeah.
couple of questions.
Yeah. So I was just reading those. I didn't mean to trail off. Hopefully I completed my thought there. But the one question was, if do you have any suggestions for balancing being in the open space and dealing with the pragmatic details of paying monthly bills?
I'm not sure what being in the open space means.
I'm
I
I
don't know
get
who. Marge, maybe you. Is that Marge? Yeah.
what I'm getting from it, and Marge, you can clarify if you want, but um, is sort of like opening your heart, following the next thing, um, becoming present to whatever is, and allowing that to lead the way, versus humaning and knowing that you need money to pay your rent.
For me, being open heart is being human. Yeah. And it's really about, again, it's about the faith that that if you're on that right path, things are gonna come. Now, um, it might not be what you expected. It's also letting go of certain expectations, maybe. But I do believe that you're gonna be cared for in the sense in the amount that you need to be cared for. So, um, but if you do need to work on limiting beliefs around money, you're gonna experience it as well. I have a friend. He's very talented with music as well, and he feels it's his mission, but he's struggling financially. And then he was thinking, well, but the thing is, if it's my mission, I shouldn't be struggling financially. Like, universe should care for me. But maybe the lesson right now is that you have a limiting belief around money. And that's what universe is trying to teach you through that. And once you're going to learn that, or you're going to start tackling that, then you're going to see the abundance come. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that conflict is pointing towards where the work is in a way.
Well, and especially when we say you're going to be cared for, the universe is going to give you what you need. It's not always like it's not always beautiful things that the universe is giving you.
Rainbows and
Sometimes it's
unicorns.
really like tough challenges. Like
Yeah.
it's really facing some fears or facing some like stuff that you were not aware of. Sometimes it's tough lessons, but that's what you
Yeah.
needed. But yeah, it's not always like. Hmm.
I would add to that too that one of the lessons I've learned is like balancing needs. So, like honoring that actually I need a certain amount of money to feel secure enough to relax into doing some of these more higher vibration, higher calling activities. So, like I've made kind of in retrospect pretty bold, potentially foolish decisions at various times in my life where I'm just like, I'm going all in on the guidance of my heart. And like quit a job, closed a business, this, that, and the other thing. And that was very fruitful. And as I get older, I'm recognizing that there are more moderate ways and caring ways for me to navigate. And so one of the things I do is I just I just pray for the support to come in whatever way is best, that I can have my needs met and still have room and space to step into where I'm being called without expecting that it's going to provide for me. Like at this point, my own business and my own projects don't provide for me completely, but I have space to tend to them and grow them and allow them to become on their own without putting that kind of like survival pressure on them that to me I feel isn't fair. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to the gift to try to force it to be a provider when it's just a baby. In the beginning, it's just a baby. It has to have room in a container to become what it's going to become. And so I have work I do that's aligned. I work for a ketamine clinic, doing mental health coaching. It's not like, the end all be all dream, but it's aligned with what I'm here to do. So I think there's an opportunity uh, to ask for work that is aligned, that doesn't have to be, doing all the medicine, like the highest calling, the highest vibration, the creativity, as long as there's still room to tend to that.
Yeah.
That's what I've tried to, like, that's where I've landed with it at this point, and has really helped me feel a lot more stable and actually full and resourced. Because coming to service work, coming to healing work from a place of lack,
It's
and
not.
it's like it people will not come to you. Like that's been my experience. Like they feel that vibration, and it's almost that in and of itself blocks it. So for me, it's like, how do I get full? First, I need to be full. How do I get full and call in things that fill me up and are aligned, and then serve from that place? I see. I'm going to just read Jeremy's comment because it's long. All I can say is, wow, I have been a coach for most of my life, and the things I coach are on the edge of everyone's comfort zone consistently. And I use the topic more than a physical lessons most days. I just let it come as it is. And the music has also been the same for me, and I never know what will come. I realize I thrive in the unknown, and I try to help folks just dive in and go for it. This is so clarifying for me right now, and to see how you are both so open and going for this is really inspiring. The sound thing is my deal and coming on more and more. I'm just getting that it just comes in right time and place, and I'm okay with how it all unfolds. The trust in this is huge, and I know we are all meant to be here today, and I'm feeling it really deep. So
Hmm.
grateful right now.
Thank
No
you.
question, as it is all just coming, and it's beautiful. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah. I do feel like there's more and more people connecting to sound. I mean, that's what I've witnessed. I don't know if you've witnessed as well, but it's almost like as as our entire planet is, is increasing in frequency or in vibration, we're less and less into the mind. Even as healers, or even in the healing arts, it's less and less about the mental, and it's more and more about the vibration. um, that's my sense, that there are more and more people connecting intuitively or being guided to add instruments, sound in the way that they help or guide people. And maybe that it's, yeah, I don't know. That's an observation. Anyways.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to make sure we have plenty of time for our for you to share, Delphine, to offer healing activation for the group. So I think we'll complete there with the talking. That's actually a great segue. You're like, enough talking out of the head. Let's
Yeah,
go. Let's go
exactly.
into the experience here and into the sound.
Yeah.
So I will let you take it away.
Yeah, sure. So this is gonna be a kind of sound healing journey, and it's gonna have the vibrations of the crystal balls that I have around me. I hope that with the sound, as I'm saying, it's the first time that I'm doing it. I hope that it's gonna be okay, but Megan is gonna do a weird face if it's not, or if it's too loud. You can turn the video off if you want. If you have some headphones, that's best, because it's gonna be easier for you to hear the vibrations of the crystal balls. And again, it's an invitation. It's a guided meditation, but it's an invitation. Sorry, an invitation to let go, to let yourself journey on those vibrations. So let those vibrations take you wherever you need to go. Um, you might, yeah, you might experience things in your body. You might see things or feel things or hear things, or maybe nothing at all, and everything is fine, because it works on a more subtle level. Um, I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes and maybe just to take a few deep breaths from your belly, to release all of the talking, all of the kind of mind things that we were in a few seconds ago, and just drop. Let your consciousness drop from your mind, from your head, into the rest of the body, into the heart space. Down. And I'm gonna invite you to imagine that you're in a beautiful nature landscape, a place in nature where you feel safe, and maybe a place where you feel a bit adventurous as well. And in that place, it's like a starting ground for a journey. In that place, you're gonna be invited to travel into a different realm, to travel upward. So maybe you see a ladder, maybe it's a plane coming to pick you up, maybe it's a cloud, maybe it's a bird coming to you. Whatever is the way that you want to travel to that place, whatever comes, let it come. Let it take you, lift you up from the ground, and you can see how the ground looks smaller and smaller as you're going up and up into the sky, through the clouds, through the atmosphere. Maybe you're now in the middle of the darkness and the stars all around you, and you see the little earth. And you're traveling upwards, continuing to travel, being guided subconsciously, maybe to a planet, no star. It's a place that is outside of space and time. It's a place that holds memories from your soul, memories from past, present, and future lifetimes. And you can observe that planet or that star from far away and see its shape, its color, and feel the pull towards it, to connect to it, to descend. Touch the ground there, to feel how it looks like. And on that ground, you will see that there's a temple that holds those memories. A beautiful temple, sacred place. You can go there, observe, sense, touch the architecture, look at the colors, sense and feel the spirit of the place, the wisdom there. And in that temple, you will see a kind of a pond of water, pure crystalline water. That's where all of the memories are. That's where all of this wisdom is, in the water. In the water. And you connect, you go there. And you can lean and look at your own reflection in the water. And then maybe there's a sudden breeze, some wind that makes the water move. And as the water moves, it's like it's preparing for a new image to be shown to you. Maybe it's gonna be the image of a past version of yourself, a memory from this lifetime. Maybe it's an image from a different lifetime. Maybe it's an image from the future. Or maybe it's a side of you. Maybe it's a side of you that you've neglected or you were not even aware of, but slowly the water is gonna calm down and you will see something that your soul wants to share with you, wants you to be aware of, wants you to remember about who you are, about what you now need to be more conscious of and call in. Nenya klahi sukle enye kienye kahasha ala eya wasonyo kro esye kienye kahasu. Shenya ala eya esye nyeke esye kyokro ko shukra eya asa. Khenya ala ekienye kahasinya kahasukro yawaha. Shanyenya kahala ekie esye kahala uklo esye hala. Ne kala kla khla ya klo esho ono oko sunyo ko eya wasu naya. And as this image is forming, maybe you want to lean into it. Maybe you actually want to go into the water to feel it. To feel that version of you, to feel that aspect. So go into the water and let the water surround you. Let the water infuse the water in your own body with that information, with that imprint, with that memory. Neya khase klaha muswa kenya kinya kashena khala eya isikla ya wasu. Shonyo kro oso kro enya kienya kahala ekia kala sukro kro eya sinya kahashi nya keya su. Nakhala aya alla aya ella eya wa shoyo kro esenya kienya ke. Nakahala esi nyakahala uno kroye sehaya shuka haya wahala haya hala nenya ki nyaka nekara esi nyakra kala yukroye she nyakahala ekia nyaka sakra ya kraya kroye shaya wasu nyakleya hasre ya nyekie nyahala ya esho nyokroye wa. And as you journey in the water, just let yourself experience what you need to experience there. Maybe it's like a womb space where the water is helping you to incubate something within. Klai kroye senye kreya shakraya waskhoroyo kreya ikara mokroya shene kreya si. Ninya kreya sakraya kroye sheya waskhoroy kroye 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 kroye. Shakraha senye keya ya 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 ya. Anya kala isonya klachaya sienya kashenya kahala isenya kaya isienya halaza. Naya nakraya nya kenya kanya kala ikaya isienya kahaya ikenya kahala su. Nakraya ikenya kahala isienya kasakaya haya waha. Ninya kahano kro eshe nya kasunyo kro eshe nya kasunyo kro eshe nya kasu. Shaklaha nya kesye nya kasunyo kro ekye nya kasunyo kro esye nya kasunyo kro ekye nya ka asye nya kye nya ka asye nya keshe ya hawa. Ninya kahana kala ase ye ekala enya kye kahasuklo oyo wa aya aya. Aya ela eya senya krachana eya eklu nokro oya wasinya aya wa ala. Oy halla en kala esenya kala aya wa aya ya halla wala ekula shenya hasi. Nanya kala sonyo kro esenya ke ya kenya kahala shekla eseya sukro yawa. Ninya kenya kasenya kenya kahala kenya wasukro yawa. Waya shaya ya wala se. Ninya kahala esenya kala shi. Krukole ya sano kala shenya kahasinya kahala. Shani kala senya kala hayanya kala su shu hamo ke ya senya kahala ke kala ya wasu. Nanya hala nankala nya kenya ka nyokloya nya kaya ki nya kaya nya ki nya ka nya ki nya ka nya ki. Nanya ka sanala. Nach kala senya kenya ka sukroya iki. Tklahi khalaya kisi kalaya nya ki nya ka sukoyo wa. Neklahi shi nya kalaya kenya ka sikene klaya ya wa. Haya si nanya kala shenye senya kla kinya kia sikala ya waha nahala ya sahaya ikie nahala And you can slowly get out of the water, knowing that all of the frequencies that you were surrounded with in that water are present inside of your body. And what has been now kick-started will continue in all of the cells of your body deep within. Whatever is needed, whatever is most needed for you right now at this moment in time, is being done. And you can look around. شحمو هسه كلاي شو أنا السحة هلا شو نهي كلا يا سن كلاي لا كلاي سو كلاي وش كلاي كلاي. Thank the water. هلا يا سو كلاي لا. Knowing that this is a space that you can always go back to. كشكاي أنا كلاي يسي كلاي 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 شكلاي كي. نكره خليا يسين يكره خيا نيكين يكخليا نيكين يكخليا نيكي شهن كلايا يسين يكره خيا يكره شكره لا وكره يسون يكره يكين يكره شايا وسكره ولا نهيا لهيا ولا. And thank this temple, this place, Shakalaya, this sacred space. Nayakalaya. Nahinyakaya. And jump back on your mode of transportation, whatever it was, to live this space, this planet. Waving goodbye, traveling back through the darkness and the stars, seeing the earth approaching, becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, this beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous planet. Going through the atmosphere, through the clouds, back to this space of nature, landing there. Back to your body, to the here and now. shenya kraya senya kraya nyakaya sia kraya la shukroya sia kraya kroyo sho. You can connect to your chakra feet and your toes, your hands, your body. Slowly move a little bit. Opening your eyes. Take your time to come back. Ni nyakenya kaha sukle nyakaha ni nyakaha la sia nyakiese. Nanyakahaya eshe. Yes. And see. Sometimes after this kind of journey, it's important to just maybe stay a bit in silence. I don't think we're gonna speak much more. I think, Megan, right? Nikolai, I see, but we would definitely love to, not now, if you don't feel like it, but we would definitely love to, if you feel called to share, to hear about your journey via email, whatever. Enjoy those vibrations. Listen to your body afterwards. It can stir up some things. Drink a lot of water. I know I say that all the time, but with the crystal balls, it's even more important to drink water. I don't know if there's something else you want to share, Megan.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's beautiful. Well, in general, I mean, one, I just want to thank you, Delphine, for showing up and offering all of this today and helping to get this started. And for those of you listening, I'm going to put, who are on the live call now, I'm going to put a link if you want to sign up for Delphine's newsletter and just keep updated on other events that she's doing. That link is in the chat. I'll also post it, like once this is on the website, I'll post it below the video. I'll send it out in the recording email. And in general, you know, please help spread the good word about what Delphine is up to. And if you have any interest, you know, like I said, I personally benefited greatly from the healings I've received from her, both, you know, individual and the group, the live events. So keep those in mind. And let's see. The other thing I'll say, I know she said a little bit of this, but my experience has, like, the last event that Delphine did with another musician friend. Well, I don't know him personally, but I love his music, is Alessandro Perini. Am I saying his name right? Yeah. They did an event in February, right? and last
Yeah.
month. And I found that I was like, I was kind of reeling on that for several days afterwards. So, and of course, I wasn't conscious of it until about, a week later, looking back. I oh yeah, that really kind of activated and released a lot what I experienced in the last event was it kind of stirred up stuff that needed to get out of the way. It was a heart awakening event. And so it cleaned a lot of stuff out of my heart. And that may not be what you experienced. This was a different intention. And sometimes part of these waking ups are like clearing out whatever's in the way. And who knows, maybe it'll be inspiring, maybe it'll be like we would love to hear. Delphine would certainly love to hear. I would love to hear too. If you experience anything or notice anything over the next several days or week, please reach out and share that with us. Um and just stay present with it and curious. And
And
we're
if you feel called to listen to it again, because you're gonna have the recording, sometimes there are things that we want to do several times. So feel free, just listen to yourself. If you feel like you want to do the journey again, then you, it's always going to be a different experience. So
yeah. And I'll put a little timestamp so that you all know when the journey starts in the recording. Um, and and yeah, the only other thing really is just to share that we're going to be doing this again next month on April 21st at the same time, 11 a.m. Pacific. Uh, it will be with a dear friend, a longtime friend, uh, Kate Vanden Boss. The subject or the theme is going to be leading with intuition. And she's a coach, and she does a lot of intuitive oracle card, tarot card reading. So we'll be talking in general about cultivating trust and confidence in your intuition and her journey of doing that and what's worked for her. And then also within that container, calling in tools to support that. And the main tool we'll be focusing on in that event will be working with oracle cards, tarots, that kind of divination. So that's to come. I'll send out more information on that in the next week or so. But if you want to save the date, would love to see you there. And otherwise, thank you so much for being here. Hope it's been beneficial, and many blessings on the rest of your day and with all your medicine that you have to share.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.